Now, Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, located on the South Shore, and I have been working as a full-time realtor and sales and marketing consultant for home buyers and home sellers for the past 15 years. My unique approach to assisting my clients to the next chapter of their lives is driven by being a team player and by offering them continuous training, education, advising, and mentoring. Every week, I will be providing you with real estate topics ranging from home buyer and home seller advice, legal matters, insurance binders, flood insurance concerns, home inspection questions, environmental worries like radon, lead paint, and mold, mortgages and loan programs, staging tips and ideas, real estate contracts, market trends, home values, and more. It's a talk radio show, and you can follow along online. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. If you missed any of our shows, you can listen on my podcast at talkrealestateradio.com. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me regarding your home sale or your home purchase, you can connect with me anytime at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. This is Sharon McNamara. You are listening to Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, even though we haven't talked anything about real estate in the past now 6 weeks. Yeah. So we have my crew here with me. They're my co-hosts, my sidekicks. They're here for the last 6 weeks now. We're all BFFs now, and not that we weren't before, but we have the one and only Elisa Cullity with us.
Hello.
How are you?
Fantastic.
And I'm going to let you take over in a minute so we can figure out Zoom, because we have some guests joining us tonight.
Sharon's going to go Zoom.
Yes, we are. And of course, we have Deputy Chief here, Ken McCormick. Hello. How are you?
I'm very good. Yourself?
You guys look refreshed. Like, is that...
It's an illusion. It's lots of makeup in my case. I have no idea what Ken's doing, but in my case, it's nothing other than a lot of makeup.
Is it one of those things, like how you go from hungry to starving, then it disappears? That's where you are with your exhaustion rate? Yeah. You're just like, I'm all done.
You'll be up for hours on end, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh, I'm good to go. And then literally... I don't remember what I was doing today, but I was like, I fell asleep almost on my deck in the middle of a conference call. I'm like, oh, can't do that. Wake back up. Focus.
And then last night, of course, so Lisa and I live on the same street, and we lost electricity.
We're in Hurricane Central. Funny to be honest.
You want to hear this? Okay, so This is how bad it is. So we just got the garage. It's my first time having a garage in 29 years.
And it's a beautiful garage.
Well, thank you. And so here's the thing, it's beautiful, and I have a garage door opener, so I just go in. And last night the electricity went out, and I looked at Mark, and I was like, so you're going to go put on the generator? He's like, you do have the keys, right? So when they finished with the garage, they gave you the keys to the side door. I was like, no, they put them on a hook inside the garage.
So what you're telling us is you were locked out of your own garage due to the power outage.
Yes. So I couldn't get to my cars, couldn't get to the generator. So do you know how bad it is to have a generator and then not even,
you have to break into your own garage to get
we couldn't even do it last night. It was too windy. And
it's a little too dangerous. Yeah.
That's what I said. I was like, it's too dangerous. We're surrounded by pine trees. I was like, you know what? I don't need one of those widow makers taking you out right now. We've been through a lot, my friend. So
everyone's been through a lot. Enough is enough. Go inside, light a candle, have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Call it good.
Well, last night was the night that I said, all right. And Mary said the same thing. We're trying to get Mary on here too. No more drinking. We were just, not that we're drinking too much, but it's too often, And I'm wondering, that must be sort of a commonplace with a lot of people. And I know Mackenzie brought that up a couple weeks to us. But I looked at Mark, and I was just like, it's time for me to go to bed. I just have to go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was worried about everybody's candles. So now I wasn't worried about COVID.
You were worried about candles, no candles.
Worry what?
Oh, well, we're getting some feedback there.
Sorry,
so
my bad.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
It's the reverb machine. He loves it.
So I worried about Ken yet again. I'm like, oh, God, now he's going to get a call about a fire because somebody fell asleep with their candle too close to a curtain. Does everyone know they don't put their, whatever?
No, we didn't have any of those.
None?
No, it seems
that's
like
good.
people...
All wind and
I'm going to knock on wood.
But
last night it seemed pretty quiet out there. It's like most people got the memo of this was not a windstorm to be trifled with. There wasn't a ton of people out floating around, which was really good to see. Everyone was at home where they belonged.
They all came out this morning.
No, they all came out this...
Were they all
come out this morning. We will talk about that. But yes, they all came out this morning.
Really?
And unfortunately congregated, unfortunately felt the need to pile into places like convenience stores and Dunkin' Donuts. And
how about the herring run on this past weekend?
We had to do a lot of publicity. We've done a lot of signage. You probably seen our new signs, Be Smart, Stay Apart. We want people to enjoy the outsides, and I think Ken and I become broken records saying, please don't make us close the parks, but if people are going to continue to congregate, we will close them. We will be forced to close them. But there was a little bit excessiveness at some of the parks, but other parks were better simultaneously, which was great. I think it's tough at the Herring Run Park because the herring are running and everyone's really excited about it and they want to go see them, and I think that makes that particular park really tough. But I saw better behavior at the other parks personally over the weekend. I saw people doing a better job staying apart, so that was really nice to see.
Well, I'm not going to tattle on people, but I saw like the Conservation Commission. They were literally having a powwow, and I was like, separate, men, separate.
Spread out.
Sorry to call them out, but I thought it was sort of funny. But they spend so much time together anyways.
Unfortunately, there are some groups of people, for example, like Ken and I'm going to make an example. Chances are, if we're going to spread it among ourselves, but you'd actually be interested. And if you saw our PIMA meetings, Ken knows this. I had the first meeting. I'm hysterical. I'm the seating police. Everyone has to sit like a far apart. So the Veterans Hall and Town Hall is a massive. It's a really big hall.
Hold on, do you hear that music though?
I bet that means it's traffic time.
Yeah, it is definitely traffic time, and we have Lisa DeMilo, I think, is with us again this evening from WATD Traffic Center. And Lisa, your job must be very, very easy these days, just saying you can get into Boston in 20 minutes.
Well, we have to calculate, Sharon, all of the times so that the folks that are driving can get there and know how much time, because no one wants to get to where they're going an hour early, or, there still are crashes too, Sharon. So you'd be surprised. I'll tell you the one thing that I'm noticing is that while there is more space on the roads, people are driving much faster, so we're seeing a lot more crashes, a lot more rollovers.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you have to do your report, and we didn't schedule any of this, but hey, it's our show and we'll do what we want, I guess. But my daughter actually lives on Beacon Street in Boston, and she was home for Easter, and then she went back. She literally made it to Beacon Street in like 25 minutes from Pembroke. How does that happen?
It's crazy because literally the expressway, Sharon, is a 9-minute drive. So if you're going from Braintree to Boston, you're getting in there so quickly. I mean, we should savor these moments because once this lightens up, we will be back into the thick of it.
And here's the thing, when those roadways were originally engineered and constructed, this is probably the amount of traffic they were expecting.
Yeah, right.
So,
that's correct.
Perfect.
That's correct. That's correct.
So how is everything looking out there tonight?
Well, right now, again, 9 minutes in both directions on the expressway. Route 3 South, you're looking at a 10-minute drive from the expressway to Rockland. The Sagamore and the Bourne check out A-OK. And Route 24 South, you're looking at a 16-minute ride from 93 to 495. This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Use your power to cure IBS and join the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation at Spin for Crohn's and Colitis Cures. Get started at spin4.org. Traffic on the 9s every morning. I'm Lisa DeMilo in the WATD Traffic Center.
We now return to Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services on 95.9 WATD.
And we're back. Hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara. We have Melissa Wallace, who's getting everything up and going. We are on Zoom through Facebook. So if you do see us on Facebook, you'll also be able to see some of our people there. You see Mary Baker is in the background. I know we have Josh Cutler is going to be joining us at 6:30. We also have, and isn't this awful? You guys are going to have to help me with Melissa's last name, the town manager, because I know her as her maiden name. RG.
Don't. Ed knows how to pronounce her name. I do not.
So I'm going to have to ask her. She'll think it's funny anyways. So we do have the town manager from Plymouth calling in at 7 o'clock. And we have Ann Jollese actually calling in again at 7:30. Got a lot of great reviews from her joining last week and having that positive spin on things. People asking how they can get her Grace Trail box and everything so they can do this at home with their families. So I think that will be great. And what time do we have right now? So until we get Josh on, So how have things been? Like, this week seems like I was anticipating the worst. I have not been watching the news. I've just been sort of trying to
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just trying to catch a little local, you know what I mean? Like just what's going on locally, and the weather. But everything else I've just been trying to sort of put aside. So I feel a lot better because I've been doing that. And I just figured that you guys got me in the palm of your hands. So if anything's going to happen, you'll call me.
Well,
She's got a lot of faith.
It was a good week.
Yeah.
It was a good week.
Having everybody do what we asked them to do.
Yep.
Which was awesome. Spike in numbers for us, transport-wise, which is we said was going to come.
Yep. So how many do you normally have, like normally, quote unquote, and how many more transports did you have this week?
COVID related or that type of related, we were probably hitting 3 or 4 more than we normally would have done.
Okay.
We can do anywhere from 10 to 12 runs a day, ambulance runs. So we did have a spike in that, and we did really well right up until, we had a storm.
Until yesterday.
Yeah, we had a storm thrown in the middle, which didn't help.
That did not help.
And then, people woke up this morning with no way to communicate because all the power was out. I've been in the house for a month. I get it.
Yeah.
It was a rough morning for people, and we saw a lot of people going out and looking for that camaraderie, for lack of a better term. And unfortunately, it led to people congregating in convenience stores, coffee shops, whatever they could go to get whatever. And together and together, excessively together, dangerously together.
So like just groups of people just saying, hey, I'll meet you at Cumbies. I mean,
I don't think it was people intending to meet. I think it was people desperate to get out of their dark, cold, no coffee, something else house. And then you run into someone and you run into someone else. And then of course everyone has the same idea. And the next thing you know, Cumberland Farms and stuff have 10 to 12 people in it. And that's not optimal. Lowe's I heard was a mob scene this morning.
I went into Lowe's one day over the weekend, and Mark yelled at me. He's like, Sharon, I do not consider this essential. And I was like, in your head, it may not, but that's how I get my stress out, is by shopping. And Lowe's is the only thing open. And I really wanted to get this thing. And I won't even tell you what it is. But anyways, I had to get something.
Because she knows we'll say the same thing.
Yeah, you will say the same thing. And I knew, but I went in all masked up and everything. And when I came out, I did have that full-blown panic attack because it's so scary to me. Not even scary like, ooh, but it's sad because all you can see is people's eyes and you don't know what they're thinking or saying underneath those masks. And I just want to start winking at everybody. Like, let that be the universal, like, I'm okay, you okay? Mark's like, no, don't start winking at people.
Do not start winking at people. But we need to ask him, where do you look now that you can't look for the smile? Because it used to be that's what you would look for. Yeah. The smile, the whatever, the nod of someone. And of course, you're right now, when people's faces are covered, you don't see that. So I'd be very interested in Anne's take. I hope she's listening right now. Is where do you look for that smile now? Where can you substitute something in for that
and
smile
people
you
won't
would
even
normally
look
give?
At you.
Right.
Like people, like that was the one thing is, like there was somebody that made some eye contact and I was just like, hi, like I just moved through my mask and everything. And I was just like, hi, like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that part of it, that sort of, I didn't like that aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because you can't really read people.
Just give a quick.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Just wave.
So I guess, I'm walking by. I just wave and wave.
I have noticed that you are waving a lot more. You've become very wavy.
We can put them on the bed. Well, let's have a parade when this is all over, and you can do the princess wave on the back of
So that's another thing we're doing to try to, boost some spirits. Is the birthday
parades. They're adorable. If you haven't seen one or participated in one, I highly recommend it.
Well,
it is adorable beyond words.
You did 2 today?
2 today.
Adorable beyond words. You should see some of these little kids. Their faces light up. And I swear, in some of them, the parents are more excited than the kids. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I was excited when I got mine because one of our police officers, Justin Turvey, I know really well. And he was down near at my house and he knew it was my birthday because of Facebook. And he's like, hey, are you home? And I was like, yeah. And we came to the front door and he put the siren on and he did happy birthday to me. So it is fun. And
see, I thought you were just for getting arrested. So.
Yeah, well, that was Christmas Eve that almost happened, but that's another story for another day. So with the calls, more calls, but I don't know. I felt like a different energy this week, though. As much as I was a little anxious, but like, do you think that people feel like, are we flattening the curve?
I think we are. I think the numbers support that we're flattening the curve, that should not be misinterpreted to say, oh, we're good now or anything else. And it shouldn't be misinterpreted to say that the peak's already here. It's still coming. I want people to be not frightened, but aware. Don't be scared, but be prepared that those numbers are going to climb. It's a factual certainty. We're starting to see the escalation. You're starting to see the escalation in rides over at the fire department, and we're going to see those cases go up. And sadly, unfortunately, with seeing those cases up, we're going to see those fatality numbers go up. So what you want to do is protect yourself as best you can. You want to never forget to wash your hands. How many times do I say it, Sharon? An easy bug to kill. This isn't even like a super bug that's super resistant that you need like toxic chemicals to get rid of it. Soap and water. Dawn. I mean, Dawn gets everything, right? So Dawn gets this guy. So you want to keep vigilant, keep aware, keep prepared. Don't be afraid. Don't be panicked. We've said all along this is coming. I'm thinking the weekend or early next week, we're really going to see those numbers take a jump like we've seen other places.
Have we had any deaths in Pembroke from corona?
Yes.
We have?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I heard that Bernie from Bernie and Phil's passed away.
He did.
Right? From coronavirus too.
Yeah.
So I guess it's going to start hitting home this week, right?
It's going to get home, I would suspect, by the end of this event. Every person in Pembroke is going to know someone that's had it, or tragically, I hope far less frequently, someone that's had someone that they know or love pass from it. Yeah. But everyone's going to know by the end of this event, everyone within the town will have known someone personally that's gotten sick. Yeah.
Ticketmaster was just calling me. I saw that on my phone, on my watch. So they're probably telling me that James Taylor is canceled for June in Fenway. Probably. That's why they're calling me. Yeah.
Big events like that are going to take longer to come back than regular business. Yeah. But when you want to talk regular business, Sharon, I have actual real estate news for you.
You do? Okay. Well, what time do we have right now? So do we have Josh yet? So Josh is going to be calling. I want to save some of that when we have a little more time. Because Josh. No problem. Do we have Josh yet? Hey, Mary.
Hi.
Oh, we can't hear Mary for some reason or another. So
we got Mary. We got Mary.
Oh.
Okay. Hi, Mary.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? This is so cool.
That's good. You sound like a robot.
Like Siri. She's like Alexa or something.
No. Oh, that was maybe my watch picking up when I said Mary, and it thought I said Siri. Mary, can you hear us?
I can. You guys sound crystal clear on my end.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, why can't we hear Mary?
That is a great question. I can hear her loud and clear on the regular feed. We also have Representative Cutler on the line as well.
Yay, Josh.
All right. So let's see if we can hear Josh, because if we can't, I'll let you know, Ben, if we can't hear him, okay?
I'm here. Hello, guys.
Okay, well, go ahead. You can do that. And we have Josh Cutler with us, who is our state representative. Josh, can you hear me?
I can. Hello, guys. Hello?
Ben, we can't hear Josh.
He can hear us. You guys can't hear him? You guys can't hear him?
Nope, we can't hear him. Nope. So
I'm sad now.
We got to be muted on this sense.
Yeah, there has to be.
How about now? Nope, that caused a reverb. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Not going to do that.
Okay.
I can hear you guys fine.
We will get this right.
We will get it right.
We will have this figured out.
I know. I'm just confused as why it isn't happening. You know why, Melissa? All right, let's just have Josh on hold just for one quick second. Lisa and Ken, I just want you guys to take over. Like, you own this place.
Okay, you go do the electronic stuff. So, Ken, we were running down changes. So just some quick stats to run down for the people. Obviously, cases are coming up. We're seeing more runs over at the fire department. We had 3 new positive tests today. The governor was on air. Some positive news. Governor was on air talking today. I'm sure you heard this. All those field hospitals are coming online, 100 beds down at the Cape. I'm super excited about that. Not acute care, but that frees up for those that don't know home. I know you all about it. So just explain real quick. That doesn't mean that like the fire department, I know you know this, is going to take and start dumping people on the doorsteps of these tent hospitals. What it is the fire department's going to run to a regular hospital, right? Same as always, Ken? And then the hospital's going to evaluate that patient. And if that patient needs subacute, in other words, not acute care, but less than that, they might be transferred to a field hospital where they can be maintained. And the best thing about that is not only are they going to get that high level of medical treatment and medical monitoring that, God forbid, if something happens to those patients and they become acute, they can just bounce them back to the hospital and get them on those ventilators and that other equipment they need. But at the same time, that frees up all those hospital beds for the people that do need acute care. So on one hand, everyone says, oh, well, it's just a field hospital, but it's not just a field hospital. It's like an extension wing of a real hospital so that they can manage their resources to the maximum potential. So everyone in the Commonwealth that's hearing that should be like absolutely really excited about that, because that means that not only are the people that are going to be, super serious and need ventilators and need all of that to get well are going to get that care, and that bed's hopefully going to be available to them. Right now, the numbers, I don't know, I know Ken's watching the numbers like me, they're looking like we're going to be there. It's looking like we're going to need all those field hospitals, but it does look right now like we will have enough. Now, is that a little wishful thinking? Am I going to knock on wood? Of course I am. But right now, the numbers look like we've got that curve where the medical facilities we have and the places we have them are going to meet it, which I'm sure is your biggest thing, Ken. I mean, that's got to be the worst feeling, riding in an ambulance and taking someone there and saying, I hope like hell they can get the help they need.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt, but Representative, could you just do a quick mic test?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. Hello?
I got nothing.
You can't hear him still.
I missed you, Josh, if you hear me.
I can hear you.
He's trying to talk. I can see him over there.
You can see him trying to talk?
He's trying like heck.
Everybody else can hear them but us.
But
So
yeah.
Our whole thing from the very beginning of this is not to overwhelm hospitals. So these field hospitals are awesome, and they're set up just like a regular ER or just like a regular ICU or CCU or whatever. Where they can try to help some people. They have real doctors, for beds, real machines,
real everything.
So it is good. It's good that they're.
But it's got to feel good when you're pulling up there in the ambulance to know that the help's there. Because that would be the worst part for me. I mean, I don't do what you do, but if that would be the worst part for me, if I know I'm trying to help someone and I'm taking them somewhere and not knowing if they're going to get help and just pulling up and going, I hope.
Yeah.
That would be a real problem for me.
Yep.
So anyway, so right now, if you do just the sheer statistic number game, which I'm confident is what the governor's office is doing, and he has far smarter people than me and far more people than me to do that numbers game out right now, the numbers game looks like we're there. I think it's going to be tight. I think those field hospitals are going to get used. I think they're going to get used at close to capacity, but the numbers look good, which is from now we'll step back and look at the whole purpose of public health is to respond to pandemics like this and make sure that those strategies do work, which is what DPH is working so hard on. Locating those hospitals, making sure they're near the hospitals, and the field hospitals have access to real hospitals, and vice versa, making sure that the medical staff is there, hence the National Guard, hence calling up the National Guard, hence moving forward all those nurses and doctors to an early graduation to make sure that the staff's there for that. But right now, if our favorite word, Ken, if everyone stays home and does what they need to do, covers their mouth, social distance, wash your hands, and all those kinds of things, it looks like we're on the right track to, quote unquote, squeak the sound on the wire. And the other thing we're talking about today, Ken, this is not a sprint, is it?
No.
This is a marathon, folks. Yeah. And I know people are probably tired. They're probably as tired of listening to us as we are of talking. But the reality is this is a marathon. We need people to be patient. We know you've been super patient and sacrificed a lot, but it's not even a marathon anymore. What my new term is, it's an ultra marathon. And for those that don't know, an ultra marathon is 2 back-to-back marathons. That's what it's going to take to squeak through this bug. And it stinks. I mean, it's boring.
No, and that's why I get today everybody being out and doing their thing.
Yeah.
I knew it when we started in the meeting.
We knew it was going to happen.
The storm didn't help, which gave them more power, which took away all their ability to do anything at home, which we're forcing them to do. So they were going to go out. But if we get 3 or 4 more days like today, and people go out, that's going to just push that.
A problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a
problem. It's going to make ultra marathon a worse than ultra marathon.
And it's going to be worse, and we can anticipate.
And we're going to see that surge. We're going to see that overwhelming surge that we cannot afford. And that's the other thing. Ken and I just talked about the numbers game and the numbers working. Understand, if people start acting like all bets off and start congregating, we're going to see a spike year, as we call it, a spike year, a more pronounced escalation in cases, I'll be all scientific here, that is going to overwhelm those systems. Because the hospitals are people don't understand. They think like the hospitals are all empty because they show these shots of these things. They're half full. There's in the South Shore hospital that isn't at 50% to 3/4. And that's a lot. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
All right, we are trying still here. So everybody on Facebook and on the radio can hear Josh okay. So what we're going to do, guys, is Mary, can you...
Going to do his interview?
Yeah, Mary, can you hear Ben? I mean, can you hear Josh, Mary? Just shake your head, yes or no.
Hear Josh, yep.
When Josh talks, can you hear him? All right, Mary, you're going to interview Josh, okay?
Okay, Josh, hi.
Hey, Mary.
There we go. We just got 15 minutes off. I'm going to relax. We can't figure it out because Facebook can hear us.
Now, one thing, the folks...
Sharon, you'll have to mute your end for them to do this interview appropriately.
We can't have everybody talking at the same time, or I can't hear.
So it has something to do with the headphones.
So I'm gonna mute her on my Zoom call.
Okay.
Thank you. Good call,
How are
Mary.
you doing?
I'm doing all right.
So are you enjoying staying home just as much as everybody else is?
Oh, it's peachy. Although I just got to play basketball with my son, so that was kind of fun.
I know. I've been encouraging everybody who's kind of thinking of this in the negative way. Maybe if we try and put a little bit of a positive spin on this is time that we normally wouldn't be able to spend with our families and our loved ones that, we are kind of trapped at home with them. But how many of us are dying for a day off every once in a while? So now we're perpetually off.
There's definitely some silver linings and hopefully some things that we can take with us once the crisis is passed and keep doing. So
yeah, it's not good for my waistline, but I'm sure a lot of other people can be saying that too.
I've been drinking a lot of coffee too.
Oh yeah. So how's everything going with you? Anything new that we should be keeping up to date with? Because just helping out talking about the CARES Act. I know that was super, super huge. And of course, as soon as you aired it the other day when we were talking, I got a call from my tax accountant.
Oh, good.
He's just like, hey, we should get up on this.
You should. So there have been a couple of new developments, I think, since our last check-in. One is on the CARES Act and on the small business loans that we've talked about in the previous shows. For the Paycheck Protection Program, I think the PPP, people are familiar with that acronym now, not to be confused with PPE. And many small businesses have already applied, and those loans are actually starting finally to flow. But just recently, the SBA came out with the regulations for the self-employed who want to apply for a PPP loan. In fact, the interim rules just came out literally today. I saw that. Okay, you saw that. Great. So for folks who are listening who are self-employed or independent contractors, if you get a Schedule C, if you have a Schedule C on your taxes, then you're going to most likely be eligible. I would encourage you to pursue that, the PPP loan. We are seeing, it's very popular, and there's some concern whether the funds are going to run out and whether or not Congress is going to reauthorize them. And there's some debate about, I think there's agreement that they want to reauthorize it, but there's some, debate about how we get there. But so for the self-employed and for 1099s, you are eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. You can read the new rules that came out literally today. But it's really, you want to have your 1099, your Schedule C from your tax returns ready, because they're going to be wanting that, and that's what they're going to base a lot of the information on. And for those folks who haven't filed their 2019 taxes, which is probably most people, I have not,
me included,
and you don't have to yet, by the way, that's the nice thing. But they are asking you to submit a 2019 Schedule C. So you may need to prepare just that document, or have your accountant do it, or TurboTax, or however you go about doing that. They are asking for a 2019 Schedule C. So that was a bit of a development today, which is good news. So anyone listening who's self-employed or an independent contractor and thinks the Paycheck Protection Program might be a good fit should definitely look at that. The other sort of bit of news, I guess, since last time I was on, is we have a little more clarity about unemployment. Pandemic unemployment assistance program that was, again, part of the CARES Act. Kicks into effect soon for folks who are self-employed and 1099. For those who may recall from our past shows, traditionally, if you're not an employee, you're not eligible for unemployment because you're not paying into the trust fund system. But in this case, Congress, in its infinite wisdom, which in this case was actually an accurate term, passed an expanded version of this to allow folks who are self-employed and who are 1099 independent contractors, we call them the gig economy, oftentimes, are eligible in most cases, and will be eligible for unemployment benefits. Now, the key question is when. A lot of folks have been asking me that.
That was going to be my question.
And I wish I had a slightly better date, but the date that we've been given here in Massachusetts is April 30th by the Mass Unemployment. And the reason for that, I gets a little bit into the weeds, but I guess The reasoning for that is that this is a brand new benefit the federal government came up with. It took them some time to get the sort of frameworks together to tell the states, here are the parameters and here's the funding. And the state has to then kind of create a portal to accommodate that, because it's going to require a different process than the existing process, that we have for unemployment, where, you have your W-2s and so forth. This will be dependent on your 1099s. And so they had to kind of create on the fly a very quick portal, which is the reason why they're giving the date of April 30th to have that live. Now, we're hoping that it'll be sooner than that, but at this point, I can't make any assurances. But by then, they're expecting to have the portal open, and so anyone who's, for realtors, if you're, many realtors are obviously 1099 folks, you will be eligible for unemployment at that point. And the good news is, even if it takes a little bit longer, the benefits are retroactive, so you won't lose any benefits if it takes a little longer to get this portal up and running. The second piece of good news about that is that the CARES Act includes the additional $600 per week per claimant. That is a federal benefit added to the existing unemployment benefit. And so that also will be in effect for independent contractors and gig economy workers. So that's a nice additional amount of money for folks. So April 30th is the date we have right now. We're hopeful that'll be sooner, but we expect it'll be right around then. And you will be able to apply through the online portal at mass.gov at that time.
Okay, so Josh, that April 30th date, that's when people can start to apply, essentially. And then do you know how long it takes for that approval? I know they tried to kind of like push it up with even the regular W-2 employees, like they waived that was it 1 week that it took?
Yep, they did, Mary. So it's good and bad. I mean, it's good that and actually that was the legislature that we had to take action to waive that. And we did. We passed that on a bipartisan basis to waive the 1 week delay. The downside is that it's become really popular. And unfortunately, the sad part of it is a lot of people are unemployed. Yeah. And so there's just some delays in getting the logistical stuff through the pipeline. We've been dealing with a lot of folks, calling our office because they're having trouble getting through to unemployment office. It's a bit of a wait. Typically, they turn around claims in a pretty quick basis, but they are backed up. I can tell you though that they've scaled up. In fact, they now have 600. They used to have 50 people handling their call center. They now, as of this week, have 600 that are handling their call center. Wow. And so they're getting 6,000 inquiries a day. So I talk to maybe 5 people a day, and that's too much. No, I'm kidding. And I know people are getting frustrated because I hear from folks who are frustrated in a nice way. And we try to do everything we can to push them from the back end. But it is just a traffic flow issue at this point. The good news is that people are getting, they're getting their questions clarified. It just takes a little time. And for folks who are eligible, they are getting their benefits. And again, they are still retroactive. So even if it takes a little bit longer, you're still going to get the benefits going back to, I forget the exact date, but it's, back to February. March
something or other?
Actually, even earlier than that, assuming you were unemployed at that point. So,
well, that's a good question for sorry, not to cut you off, for 1099 employees. Technically, when do we figure that we're unemployed?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how they're going to handle that. And that's exactly, Mary, probably why this is taking a little longer than we'd hoped, just because there's a lot of questions like that is, how do they interpret that? Now, I will say to date, they've been super flexible and, very, erring on the side of sort of helping people when it comes to those kinds of questions, like in terms of whether or not you're, truly are unable to work, they're giving people the benefit of the doubt if you're not able to go to work because there's a health related concern and it's good faith held concern, then they're not questioning that. So I don't know specifically what they will do, but they to date they've been very flexible with all the benefits, just because I think the idea is we want to get the help out to people as quick as we can. So.
Yeah, I personally think, and now I don't know if this is going to get me booed, but I personally think our state and even our industry in real estate, and I said this on a show a couple of weeks ago, I think the ability to adapt, and obviously there's certain measures in place. Like I had no idea that Pembroke had a whole team that they had put together and that were supposed to meet in case of crises like this. But I'm really impressed with our ability as a government to adapt, even locally, by the state, and then even for my industry personally, the ability to kind of pick up the ball and make sure that things don't completely stop. I'm personally impressed by.
Yeah, no, I think Pima. I would echo that. I think we've seen at all levels of government. Maybe not always at the tippy top, but in all levels of government. At the local level. Great. we have. I know Lisa and Ken and other folks are involved in the Pembroke Emergency Management work, and they've done a fantastic job of keeping everybody informed, keeping me informed, keeping the public informed. And Governor Baker, he's done a great job as well. I think, working in a very cooperative, bipartisan way. We really have everybody kind of working together. Hopefully this will last. Hopefully this will outlast the COVID-19 crisis.
I know. I'm like almost a little scared for people to not stop being nice to each other. Everybody's being so nice now, and then we're going to go backwards, and maybe people aren't going to be so nice anymore.
Well, hopefully
knock on wood.
That's right. That's right.
Anything else that you see that like coming down the pipiline?
Yeah. All right. So the other thing that sort of happening today is maybe not such great news, unfortunately, but to be candid with folks, we're looking, right now it's early April in the legislature. Typically, what we would be doing right now is doing our state budget, and of course that has been sort of put on hold because we have really no. Well, number one, we practically speaking don't have a way to meet in person yet. That's being worked on. But more importantly, we just don't know what kind of revenue picture we're going to have for the next fiscal year, much less the end of this fiscal year. And so today we had we call it consensus revenue forecast, where basically we bring in the sort of the top economists from around the state and academia and so forth, and they kind of give us their take on what they think. What they forecast, like weatherman, but with numbers, forecast for revenues for the state for the next fiscal year. And so this happened today. It happened obviously virtually, not all in person. And we heard some sort of sobering data about the state of the economy and what folks expect. Some of the numbers that were thrown out. We're looking at potentially a $4.5 billion hole in our budget, in our state budget. Obviously, we're hopeful that the federal government will. As they have already done to an extent, will help us and help all the states. But that's a significant amount of money. And, unlike the federal government, we can't just print more money and, fill the hole. We actually have to have a balanced budget. And so that's going to put a lot of pressure on our coffers. And so hopefully things will turn around quicker than they expect. But B, hopefully the federal government will step in with additional aid. And a lot of discussion today centered around 4 letters. You probably heard these letters: U, V, W, and L. And the V is what we're all hoping for, which is the V-shaped rebound, where we bounce back up to full strength economy almost immediately. The U-shaped. That's the finger. Yep. The U-shaped one is a little less favorable, where it takes a little bit more time to ramp back up. The L shape is the disastrous one. We don't want that. Where we flatline. And then the W is the concern about having a rebound, but then having a secondary sort of recession at the end of that. So we're hoping for V or take a U maybe, but the other 2 letters we're not so happy about. So that was sort of the more sobering news from today. Not to put everybody on a downer, but those are the things we have to kind of. It's
reality. I mean, there's got to be fallout. And I was actually talking to some clients a little bit earlier today. The fallout that we're going to see, even it just across the board or fiscally for, like you're saying, 2020, isn't necessarily going to be in the next upcoming months. It's even later on down the road. We don't tend to see these things for 6 months to a year after the actual happening.
Right. It is. And, just to I guess, end with a bit of good news is that in Massachusetts, at least, we do have what's called a stabilization fund, which is basically a rainy day fund. And, here in Massachusetts, we've done a pretty good job of building that up. It's not as high as, maybe to get us through this whole crisis, but we've over $3 billion in our rainy day fund for the state. And so that, obviously will help to cushion the blow here. Because and the bit of good news is that in Massachusetts, at least, we do have.
Gonna have to mute Sharon again.
Uh-oh. We got a little feedback there. I don't know if anybody. Are we still on?
We're still on.
We're still on. We just muted Sharon again.
Oh, we muted Sharon. I'm sorry, Sharon. We'd love to talk to you normally, but it's not working out tonight. I forget what anyway, I'll just end with that. So we have a rainy day fund that has over $3 billion. So that will certainly help. And that's, the good fiscal stewardship of the governor and the legislature trying to work together that got us there. So not going to be enough to carry the day, but certainly will help. Well, I think we're all trying to come together and I really appreciate you. And I know Sharon and Ken and Lisa, Melissa, Ben, everybody here. Without the help of you guys helping to keep our listeners informed just about the community, I feel as if we'd be in a lot scarier of a place. So I know personally, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing everything that you guys are doing and trying to keep, everybody's heads on straight and not kind of guessing as to what the future is going to be, and know that we have resources to help learn. My pleasure. Thank you for doing the show. It's great. This is important that people, need to stay informed and communicate. And this is how we're doing it now. And so it's important to have platforms like this to be able to communicate. I know. I feel as if we're really innovative with this. I mean, I wish it was working a little bit differently, but this is the first time that I'm getting to see you even remotely. You could see us on the radio. So this is kind of nice for all of our listeners to put a face to the name. Yeah, absolutely, Mary. Just a quick little side story. We did one of the committees I'm involved in the legislature is the Joint Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disabilities, and we had our first ever and the first in the history, I guess, of the Commonwealth, first ever virtual public hearing yesterday. Wow. And so we did it with Zoom, and it was a bill hearing and people could testify, and so everybody did it on Zoom, and it was also on Facebook Live, and it was I believe the first time it's ever happened in the Commonwealth. So worked pretty well. I think it's the kind of thing that when this is all over with, we should still, look to, because it brings in people who maybe wouldn't normally be able to offer testimony, to couldn't come into the State House. So there are some good things to come from this. Absolutely. I think it forced people to adapt very quickly to get on board, or, otherwise they were going to get left behind. So if you weren't comfortable with people seeing what you looked like before, now surely this is a different way of being in the public eye, but that's awesome. And hopefully all the good things continue and we start to bounce back pretty quickly. Thank you. And if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you, Josh, what are you recommending to them? Sure. So obviously email is, you can email me anytime. It's josh.cutler@mahouse.gov. And you can also just call me on my cell phone. If I don't leave a message, if I don't pick up on the first time, just leave a message. I'll get back to you. It's 781-422-4001. We are so lucky to have a state rep that is giving out his cell phone number on over the internet. So, Josh, thank you again. We appreciate you, and surely we'll stay in touch and probably talk to you next week. Great. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, guys, in the studio. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
So, Mary, let's try to bring Sharon back in. How about you say?
Well, hello there, Sharon. Can you hear me now?
So we could hear her. Can you hear her now? It's back up on that. You just muted Sharon again.
So tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take our top of the hour break, and then when we come back, we'll get right back into the show. What do you say? Since I can't hear anybody, I'm just going to assume we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to take our top of the hour break, do AP News and Weather. When we come back, we'll be back with some more Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara here on 95.9 FM WATD.
WATD FM Marshfield, WMEX Quincy, WBMS Brockton, and translator W266DA Brockton. The South Shore's first choice for live team coverage of breaking news, emergency traffic, and severe weather. WATD. Streaming online at 959WATD.com and with your smart speaker just by saying play WATD.
AP News. I'm Jackie Quinn. President Trump announces the administration's reached a deal with the airlines to provide relief during a time of record low ridership because of the pandemic.
This agreement will fully support airline industry workers, preserve the vital role airlines play in our economy, and protect taxpayers. Our airlines are now in good shape, and they will get over a very tough period of time that was not caused by them.
At today's briefing, Trump again is blaming the World Health Organization for not sounding the alarm soon enough on the virus. He says the U.S., though, is starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The governor of New York says he will not lift social distancing requirements too soon, despite what the White House says.
Who is responsible for each element of the opening? The president said last night that he has total authority for determining how and when states reopen. That is not an accurate statement.
Governor Andrew Cuomo says nearly 800 people died in his state yesterday. California's Governor Gavin Newsom says he's looking at slowly lifting social distancing requirements and says things will be different, like Californians will have to have their temperatures taken and be served by waiters who wear masks. Former President Barack Obama's endorsed former Vice President Joe Biden.
Biden served 2 terms in the White House with Barack Obama.
Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made.
In a video, Obama called Joe Biden a close friend, the perfect candidate right now.
Joe has the character and the experience to guide us through one of our darkest times and heal us through a long recovery. And I know he'll surround himself with good people.
Barack Obama is expected to headline fundraisers for Biden and public events in key swing states.
Stocks gained today. This is AP News.
Good evening. Watching weather radar, a few rain showers now near Nantucket. They'll tend to expand up onto the Cape and gradually onto the South Shore late tonight into tomorrow morning with a weak storm center offshore. A low of 37. Gradually the showers ending, and we'll start to see some sunny breaks later in the day tomorrow, but on the cool side, a high of 49. Tomorrow night, fair early in the mid-30s with a snow shower in the area. Early Thursday, still quite chilly, a high of 49. Friday, a few sunny breaks, clouding up, a brief rain shower around, a high of 51. Looks like we'll go into the weekend dry and seasonable on Saturday, and there can be an April shower by Sunday. For WATD, I'm meteorologist Rob Gilman.
This is Alyssa McNamara Reed with McNamara Financial in Marshfield. When I hosted the most recent Smart with Money Fair for the Marshfield High School seniors, we went through an exercise comparing investing an amount of money over 40 years versus investing that same total amount of money over 20 years. The end result for the person who saved longer was more than twice the amount of the other person's. This is a hypothetical exercise, of course, but the point remains: save early and save often. If I can help you save early and often, visit our website at McNamaraFinancial.com.
We now return to Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services on 95.9 WATD.
Yeah, I have you on the phone, Mary.
All right, so guys, we are live. You are listening to Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, Mary Baker, Melissa Wallace. We have Ken McCormick, the Deputy Chief of Pembroke, Lisa Cullity, the Board of Health agent in Pembroke at the studio. So they're actually patching in live through or patching through with Zoom. And then we have our first time guest, Missy, and I should say Melissa. How do you say your last name, Melissa? Because Sharon only knows it from schooling.
Right. Well, it was Gribeau, but now it's Arrighi. It's been Arrighi for about 20 years.
Okay. And so Melissa Arrighi, and you are the town manager.
Okay. That's happening just because Sharon's speaker is up a little too loud to the microphone. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, no worries. Well, we are doing the best we can here. We're trying to navigate this whole telecommunications, Zoom, via radio, all kind of.
Even the most experienced of us are learning.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ben, I am not the most experienced at this one.
Well, neither am I, but hey, we look good doing it, right?
Yeah, we are.
Zoom's all about.
I know. I mean, I joke, Melissa, that I didn't get Zoom stock earlier in life. Had I known,
right?
I think had we all known, we would have jumped on board. I feel like I missed the boat on Facebook again. But so you are Plymouth town manager. So we thought it would be interesting because Plymouth is so vastly larger than Pembroke is as a town. And, you know, we've had Ken come in and we've had Lisa come in from our town, and we're maybe feeling things on a smaller scale than you are. So what are you guys seeing in town with you, and how's Plymouth doing?
Yeah, so it was really overwhelming in the beginning. The things that you would think wouldn't be so trying really were just the logistics of shutting down Town Hall and the Center for Active Living, our Council on Aging, as well as our libraries. It has such a vast impact on residents so quickly. And we have about 63,000 residents. We suspect that population has gone up as people come here right now, some of them to escape and get away from where they were. And then, of course, our summer population will increase. But in the Center for Active Living, one of the things that was a real goal for the community was to continue to deliver our meals. We do about 200 meals a day for our seniors, and sometimes, almost all the time, they really rely on that for their sustenance and for their good health. So we wanted to make sure that program continued. In addition to services at Town Hall, to just disband them, that's just not possible. So one of the other things where I've seen a big impact over the last 2 weeks is having to shut down the beaches and the parks. We have so many in Plymouth. And it's just a place that people want to be able to go and walk and enjoy, but we couldn't control crowds. So we had to put serious limitations on that. And we want to be careful with sending our police and fire or our safety officers out to those lines to break up crowds when we really need to protect them as well. And we need them doing other things. So those are some of the immediate impacts we saw. We have about 99 cases in Plymouth right now.
Okay. Well, so as you were just talking about, how many residents, it just hit me, the Pine Hills in general. I mean, you guys have one of the largest communities of, even 55 plus, not that it's only 55 plus, but the Pine Hills is a city kind of in and of itself, or a town in and of itself. So that, and close knit.
Absolutely.
So have you seen, what's the situation? Is that specifically regulated in respect to the town itself, or is that something that you guys, did you have somebody who's specifically managing that area?
So no, it's really part of the whole community. I think when you look at the town of Plymouth, we have so many different pockets that have their own, personality, a feel to them. From your real estate background, you would know that Chiltonville is such a beautiful farm area of town. Pine Hills is such a beautiful development. Now we have Red Brook, which is a version of Pine Hills in some ways, although the developers probably wouldn't like me wording it that way. But you have North Plymouth that really has our history and downtown. So every area, every village has their own personality. Now, it's interesting that you bring that up on the show, because we have had requests from people in different pockets of town, Manomet, Cedarville, that really want to know what the cases of COVID-19 are in their specific area. We're not doing that.
You can't do that, though. You can't just pinpoint it. That's like me saying that, I have it and I live at XYZ on Matakeesit in Pembroke. You're like, no, I don't have it, just as an FYI to everybody who's listening. But it's you don't want to announce that. There's some anonymity that has to be held. And, you get mob style, people on your door. Hi.
Hi. Hey, Missy.
How are you?
Good. So obviously not that technical, but no, we're trying to figure it all out. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Just to introduce you to some of our guests, we have Lisa Cullity here, who's Board of Health for Town of Pembroke and Deputy Chief from the Town of Pembroke. So I loved what you just said about, I think that we were just talking earlier too about, trying to control some things. And I love that you're so aware of taking care of the people that work for the town and their safety too. So I really want to commend you for that, because I'm a little high strung sometimes, and I've been so worried about all the people who are out there out front. So I really commend you for doing that. And I'm sure it's not easy making these decisions to close down beaches and parks and everything else.
It's interesting to see the number of emails you get. It's running about 60% very much in support of closing down and coming down a little bit tougher with the practices we're doing. And then the rest of the population feels a little bit like a police state. And let this be the individuals take responsibility, but that's just not practical. You look at our downtown area and people gathering on the waterfront, and you understand the draw on a beautiful day.
Yeah. Oh, especially in the days that we've been having recently, I'm sure trying to keep people, in their houses as they're going stir crazy. I know Ken and Lisa were talking about this a little bit earlier, just about our ponds and, our little parks that we have. It's hard to say, oh, don't go outside and don't experience the weather, and just kind of try and, I don't know. I've seen more people walking the street outside Mattakesa trying to get to the parks than I've ever seen them being here. So
yeah, but Plymouth has double that problem because it's also a tourist destination, in which case I don't think you at all. I'm sorry.
So, Melissa, we call you Melissa, which is a little odd to me, but what are your thoughts about, for commerce and for the businesses, downtown, where it being such a place where, you're not even local, where you're getting people who are tourists. You're getting people nationwide. So what do you feel the impacts of this are going to be, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, our small businesses, like everybody's, are really struggling. And it's sad when you go into the downtown area. I was down there this afternoon. I was at town hall for a while, and I have a place that's right downtown, and walking along some of the signs in the restaurant windows. We're going to do everything we can to help them. There are some small business opportunities you're probably aware of. We're working closely with Amy Naples, who I really respect, out of our Chamber of Commerce. We're also working with See Plymouth, which is our tourism arm of our government that helps us bring people to the area. We know people aren't traveling right now. You may have heard the news that many of our 2020 events have already been canceled. So that's super disappointing for so many people in the area that have put so much time and effort into it. But we are concerned about the businesses. We're trying to think of some innovative programs to help them. We did just get quite a bit more CDBG grants. I believe about $237,000 just came in. So we're going to see if we can somehow reinvest that back into our businesses.
That's great.
Sounds like a plan.
Do you guys have questions for Missy too? And
I don't. I'm just happy to see that, all of the communities around us are kind of doing the same thing. We seem to all be on the same page without actually speaking to each other. So, it's working.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of the agents and a lot of the health boards, and I think everyone has very much the same thoughts as you, Melissa, that we don't want to be the killjoy. We don't want to be the police state, but at the same time, we all share the burden or responsibility, depending on how you want to look at it, of keeping people safe. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to keep them safe against their will. And that's something I've said, a lot on air. We don't want to do these things, but if we're compelled to keep you safe against your will, then unfortunately, you're forcing us into doing that.
I would agree with that statement.
I wanted to ask you too, so with the boating season coming up pretty soon, has anything gone into that, the thoughts about if the boats will be allowed to be in, and how is that going to work?
Yeah, we've had some pretty extensive discussions with our harbor master's staff, because one of the things that Plymouth needs to start doing now, we had to make the decision last week, was we need to start our seasonal hiring. We won't get by. People are still going to use the beaches. They're still going to swim. They're still going to enjoy the weather. And we need to make sure they're protected. You remember all the sharks we saw last year right off Whitehorse Beach. So we need to have lifeguards. If we don't start some of that hiring now for our assistant harbor masters, we won't be prepared. In addition, we're at the final stages of building a new maritime facility right on the waterfront. So that is going to come with amenities for people that are boating, that are traveling to this area. We don't want to lose them. And we also feel, anecdotally, that boating will be a very popular hobby or practice or sport this summer, because people can isolate. So they're together, they're on their boat, they're hanging out in the harbor. We don't know anything about July 4th yet, but we are anticipating a pretty large crowd in our boating in our mooring field, which, of course, the dredging, significant amount of the dredging has been done. People are anxious to get back out there. I don't blame them. So I think they'll get more and more antsy to get outside. Boating is going to be wildly popular. So we are going to be staffed to support that. We might have to instill some different practices than we've had in the past, but we're going to go full. We're full ahead on that.
Yeah,
that's good. That's some positive news. Sorry.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I was thinking about, because Mark and I have a boat, and we, you have to go onto Dock One now to make all these reservations. and some of the, like Menemsha over on the Vineyard, they stopped taking reservations and everything. But I was thinking the same thing as you. At least you can, when Mark and I are out in a mooring, it's just the two of us, unless Mary and Melissa come along with us. We bumped into Lisa last year. Missy, I'll have you out this year too. But
my husband's a big fan of going over there on the jet ski. I don't like it. I'm nervous. I've done it, but only twice.
Yeah. So I just think that, you can socially distance, but I think that would be really important for, the restaurants who are still doing takeout and things like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm hoping maybe by the summer. I mean, what do you think? Do you think by the summer we'll be able to go in restaurants again?
I think by the summer you're going to see some relaxation then. Do I think you still want to be in a packed restaurant? No. Do I think that some of them might be able to open? Some of the guidelines, what I would expect the governor to do, if I'm reading the governor correctly, is not unlike the supermarkets. Maybe restaurants open, but they're not at full capacity, full seating, but maybe they allow 40%, where it's every other table, where people are still distancing and things like that. I think if I'm reading the governor correctly and what he said today, that working with the other governors, I think you're going to see a relaxed opening, not a sudden open the gates and it's a free-for-all and everyone do what they were doing before. I think you're going to see a controlled, staged rollout, seeing those escalation in cases coming back in China and Japan. So I think that if I'm reading people correctly, they're going to take all that information in and say, okay, well, a free-for-all open doesn't work, so let's try a staggered, slow rollout approach, which I think would probably be wise. But I think something like that you could see by summer. I do. I'm hoping.
I think that's hi. I'm here.
We're social distancing, which is not easy to do with 4 people in a room.
I think that I agree with you, Lisa. I think that we sort of have to do something like that because I also believe that this is going to change the way people live their lives anyways. People who weren't germaphobes before will probably be them now, like me. Like, my hands are raw from washing my hands 12,000 times a day, but I know it's to protect myself and to protect the people around me. So, I don't think that I'm going to go to, oh, you know what, I'm never going to wash my hands. I think that this type of thing is going to change the way that everybody sort of lives their everyday life. And yes, I'm very excited to go back to a restaurant or have a couple cocktails with some friends, but I wouldn't directly go into a crowded bar right afterwards.
I don't like my friends. I don't like my friends
that much.
I don't like my friends that much. So, yeah. Missy, what about the schools and everything? So you have a huge school system down there. So, are they working from home now? And were you able to supply enough computers and everything for kids who didn't have that opportunity?
So I work closely with the superintendent, but those in our form of government, those decisions are really up to Gary Maestas, our superintendent, and the school committee. Now, certainly we collaborate on a lot of our ideas on what to do about closing, particularly on the administrative end of what he's doing, but he has 12 schools to oversee. And one of the most important things to us is that we continue to serve meals to the children. We know in some in way too many cases, these are the only meals the kids get. So our meals programs are still very, very active. Superintendent Maestas is having the teachers, and they're doing a great job doing a lot of work online and working with the students online. And, I have to agree with the speaker before this, things are not going to go back to the way they were. Even the way we all do business, I think you're going to see more and more of these type of meetings and less of the roundtables. We'll have to see what happens with that. I don't know about with school learning. I think the question that we keep bugging Gary with, and he's in the same dilemma of all of us, is that we don't really know is, are they returning this year? I think most of us think that's probably not going to happen, and nobody's actually voicing the definitive because we just don't know yet. I have to tell you, just from town hall, my plans right now are to reopen the building on the 4th. And up until 2 days ago, I thought we would reopen to both customers and staff, and I'm already rethinking that. And we're starting to put together a plan that it won't be reopened to customers, but we'll do some staggered staffing. So I think the schools are doing a great job. I think there's frustration all around. And I have to tell you, I'm not a parent, but for those of you that are parents out there, I do not know how you are balancing working, teaching at home. Great job.
It is really, yeah. I was watching something on the Today Show today, and Drew Barrymore was on there, and she was like, I had respect for teachers before, but teachers with their own children, God bless you.
One of the things with the schools too, and not going back, I mean, with not with the schools, but talking about town hall being open and everything. I know, Deputy Chief McCormick, we are familiar with not being able to get smoke certs and things like that. And I'm sure the same thing is happening, in a real estate perspective. So what about permits and all of that? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of building going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of summer homes down there. Are you seeing like an influx of people that are trying to get to their vacation homes? And how's all that working?
We have had quite a few water turn-on requests. So our public works employees is still working. We will still honor those unless some of the shut-ons are inside your home. And then it's a little bit different. Right now, we are not sending employees inside homes unless it's emergency related. We wouldn't consider that an emergency. We did have a stumbling block in the beginning. I think 4 real lessons have come out of this, having to close town hall so quickly. Some of the challenges that we had, and one of the key ones is in the building department. Now, certainly we have, 8 or 9 inspectors, something like that. So we're still able to do inspections. We're still able to do building permits and process them. Of course, everything is being done by email, call, online, all of that. The inspectors will go out for new construction only. They won't go out if it's an addition on your home, then it has to be an affidavit or you have to have the plan stamped or whatever the case may be. We'll accept an independent inspection at this point. But mostly our staff has been really great. They are still working, even though they're home. So we are still sending them out to do things in the building department, just not as rapidly as they were before.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, do you have any other words of wisdom or any great information that you would like to get across to all our WATD listeners?
Yeah, I think there's just one thing I don't think people realize. The collaboration between towns has been absolutely outstanding. From police collaboration with other communities to the fire department to just, I'm working so closely with all the other town managers, and I know the health director is with you, so I just want to say thank you. I can't believe the volume of work that you are doing, and I know many of you have helped us and our health department. Anything that we can do back, Plymouth absolutely stands by our neighbors, so let me know.
Absolutely. And that just gave me goosebumps too. And we just had Ann Jollese join us too here on Zoom. And Ann is a life coach, and she's a little positive affirmations for us here. But one of the things that I've been seeing and really loving is this sense of community. And absolutely, Missy, that's one of the things I actually brought up last week. When I grew up in Dorchester, we were on the corner, hanging out on the corner.
I remember you brought me to Savin Hill. I'll never forget it. I'll tell you all stories someday about Sharon Costa, but we are agreeing not to share at this point.
We are not telling any Sharon Costa stories.
Oh, yes, we are. I know where she works. I'm going down there.
We've had some great times, Missy and I have. So, but I do love that the world is this is terrible what's going on. I mean, no one's going to question that. But the way that the world seems to be coming together, and I'm talking towns with towns and absolutely, even like states with states and, countries with countries. And I just think that is something that we probably needed right now in our world anyways, right? It's just a little more collaboration. I know that you have a lot of kids who probably need the meals and your senior centers and all that too. Are you looking for volunteers? Does any of your departments need any help with doing deliveries and things like that for people who are healthy and can do that?
I'll let you know. Right now we're in good shape because we have a group of trained volunteers that we're working with. So we've got a little bit down to a science right now, and we've made some changes with the program. We needed some help a couple of weeks ago. We're struggling with our homeless population, but we seem to have found a temporary resolution for that. But I'll tell you, every time that we do need help, one of the first places I go is to the South Shore Town Manager listserv, and we all share what we're doing, and it's really helped.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, just so you know, we are here. I mean, we're located in Pembroke, but WATD and our radio show and what we do for Boston Connect Real Estate is, all over. And we are here for you if you need any help. And keep up the good work, Missy. I'm so proud of you. And
thank you.
Everything you've become. You're such a great leader and mentor. So
great. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Missy. Nice to meet you.
You too.
So that was Missy. Had no idea how to say her last name, but it used to be her well. She's awesome.
Arrighi. Arrighi. Melissa Arrighi.
Lisa Arrighi. Yeah, so that was great that we were able to get her there.
Someone else's perspective.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you were saying that last week about how the towns are really collaborating with each other.
Very much so.
I think that that's great. So her population of people down there is so much larger than ours. So I'm assuming that the numbers.
Indifferent.
Yep.
How many, I didn't, maybe you know, I don't know if you do or not, like fire department and stuff like that. I mean, obviously a lot larger than we are, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, much more stations and much more men, you know, different type of staff. I'm just saying ranking, but more of them, you know, they have deputy chiefs that run every group,
yeah. Because it was interesting.
Not the police department all the way around.
Yeah.
So.
They have a health department of 5, not 1.
It's the same thing we do. It's the same, you know, the same job. It's just at a larger scale.
So one of the things I loved that she said, and it wasn't even prompted, was that her concern as well is for people like you that are out there every day doing this. So I'm glad that people are respecting that. And, you know, even you were saying that people sort of coming together this morning and everything. I think it's just, maybe it's easy to forget where we are when another disaster sort of happens, right?
So I saw it this morning and I said, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So who broke it up?
You can't break it up. You can
suggest and lead by example.
And you go around, you can take a look and drive by and people see you, they disperse.
Yeah, you saw a group today? You saw many groups.
So everything that happened today was a combination of staying at home in a storm.
Frustration.
Yeah.
And then when they went to go back on this morning to get on the internet, they couldn't. They'll get power. They had no power. They couldn't take a shower. So people just said, you know what? I'm out.
You
know, I was definitely nervous about that last night. So a lot of our listeners know I live with Mary and Sam here in Pembroke, and we're right around the corner from Sharon. But you know, when we lost power, it sort of made me even more nervous because not that I wanted to go out in the windstorm, but I knew that today was going to be beautiful. And okay, so we have a nice porch, and I can sit on the porch and try to do some work with no internet, but you know, it just made me think, okay, well, now it's going to be a beautiful day. People can't stay inside because there's no internet, there's no nothing. And then we were putting all of our food in coolers last night. We were able to get ice. You know, we put all of our food in coolers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody has been going crazy buying all this food, and we were just advised if you can afford to buy 2 weeks worth of food, buy it. And then the next day we all lose power.
We
It
do these
just
things
broke
every
my
day in our
heart.
meetings. We discussed this. So it's going to be a great day tomorrow. We're in trouble.
We try to think as steppers.
Oh, we're going to be in trouble.
Well,
we start. And if I didn't know that this would kill you, you know, if I didn't know as much as I know about it now, I would probably be with them.
Yeah.
Going, you know what? I'm out of here.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
There is some amount of
insight.
lack of knowledge.
Yeah. They have a little bit more insight than most people.
Right. And when you have kind of a front row seat to it, you go, oh, you know, a lot of people say, oh, this is just the flu. And in a way, they're correct, except that unfortunately this particular bug, when it takes a hold of someone, and it's not everybody, but it's every 10th case. When it does, it's behaving extraordinarily aggressively. For example, we had this year, there was a case that I told you there's more than one, but passed in Pembroke, and the downhill slide was so fast. It's what I would call frightening. Yeah. An otherwise perfectly healthy individual, no underlying conditions. The only condition you could say was actually of being at a more advanced stage. Yeah. Healthy, vibrant, and everything else, and in less than 2 days, gone. Yeah. So that's frightening. And if that doesn't frighten you, I don't know what does.
Right. And so for 6 weeks, we've been saying, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home, because we have insight.
Yeah.
But I get it when, it's 65 degrees day after, you know, a windstorm, and
I'm cooped up.
I can't do anything because all of my devices are gone because I don't have any power.
Well, and that's the other part of this too, is people are literally, like I said to Mac last night, when I was looking at my garage that was fully locked with our generator in it, I was like, if this doesn't send me to McLean Hospital, then we're good for the rest of this.
You're going to be just fine. But you know who I bet knows a lot about the psychology of people being cooped up
no power,
She is good.
scary events. I bet someone that could probably demystify some of that for us is sitting right there in that box on the shelf.
Hi,
oh God, I hope you don't mean me.
I do mean you.
Hi, guys.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, Pam. You two should move in because you really go out of the screen so often. I can't see your beautiful.
That's intentional. We're staying apart. We're staying apart.
Oh, okay.
At the end of the day, we do care about each other, but we gotta stay
apart. We care from a distance.
I get you. Sorry about that. That makes sense. You are talking about social distancing, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
I know that you had talked to us about the Grace Trail, and I got a lot of people sending me text messages and things saying how much they really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I had mentioned that you have the box where you can do this little thing on your the Grace Trail on your own.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that you would be able to tell us about that, and also what are your insights on how to keep people positive through this?
Well, it's really interesting. I think if you say, how do you keep people positive, it turns everyone off, right? Because they're like, how can I be positive? This is so horrible. And I have a hard time because everyone's reality is so different. I see those food lines on TV, with 10,000 people. I'm like, my God, I'm sitting here in my house saying, what do you want for dinner? Everybody's reality, from first responders, it's just so different. So to ever say, how can you stay positive? I think what we really have to ask is, how do we, given the circumstances we have, how do we cope? And, that's why I love the 5 Grace Trail questions, because I watched the 3 of you with Melissa. Was it Missy or Melissa? And as soon as you start talking about collaboration and volunteering and how much you're working together and how much you appreciate, the whole mood goes up. The first step on the Grace Trail is about what are you grateful for? And when you talk about collaboration and you talk about all the wonderful teams, it elevates everyone's spirits. It absolutely does. And, I think gratitude is over talked about, like, do you have an attitude of gratitude, all that stuff. The truth is, if you can take your little brain and focus on what's going right in your day, because each one of your days is very, very different from my day. And all of us are really fortunate, obviously, to have the resources we have in this. But even with really limited resources, to take it off the worry, just like you did, I'm telling you, I just watched the energy in the room go up, up, up as you started talking about what was going right, even in other countries, Sharon. And I think that's so important to keep talking about that, because if you watch the news, you could just cry. They just keep pounding us and pounding us and pounding us.
Why Sharon's not allowed to watch them anymore, Anne?
You can't. You have to take little bits of it so you're informed, but it should not be your part-time job. It will take you down in the dumps. So that's number one. I'd say limit the news. And you can get it right online by going to, a couple different sites and just reading what you need to know. But the other is pure, even though it's a reality, it's misery. And you just can't cope when you're constantly watching that. So the next thing, when you said to me, Ann, how can we be positive? This is the magic question for all of you, okay? It's about release. So gratitude, then release. The question is, number one, what do I need to release? Okay. What's in your control? That's number one. What's out of your control? That's number two. The more you can focus on what's in your control, in your little world. Like yesterday, we were all stuck in the house because we're quarantined, and then we lose power. I was like, oh my gosh, what's in our control? I heard someone say they put all their food on ice. We have to constantly keep asking ourselves, what's in our control, and then act on it. Because what happens is our brain pulls us to what's out of our control. That's the news. That's we have no electricity. So you have to really constantly manage your brain and pull it back to what is in your control, and then take action. And the truth is, if you get to the A in the word grace in the Grace Trail, with acceptance and acknowledgement, there's a lot of really hard stuff going on. And to say to someone, we got to be positive, it's not that easy because it's hard for a lot of people. So sometimes, like Sharon, you said you cry. You know, I went to the food market the other day and I sobbed in the car afterwards. It was just sad. I'm almost overwhelmed by people's anxiety when there's crowds and things. So I just sat and cried and I just got it out and then moved on. And, I think it's about being real with what's happening and then managing your thoughts and emotions in the best way possible to be productive and not wallow. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm...
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's what you guys have been, I think it's really hard for them because the jobs that they have. And,
oh, yeah. Oh, no question.
I'm looking at my friend who right now at the office and you see somebody with a mask and it's like, what is this world that we're in now?
Yeah.
And it is completely different.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm having you on the show too. And just like, what can we do? Because it helped me. It actually helped me. I did yoga this week because you told me to do that. So hey, I'm a conformist. Tell me what to do and I'm going to do it because I feel like I'm surrounded by people who love me enough to tell me the right things to do.
So let me tell you about that, okay? So what's in your control? Okay, you're in your house. You have no electricity. I mean, you can move in your house. I said to my husband, you know what? I can go up and down those stairs 20 times. And I'll just tell you something.
Did you do that with you and John running up and down the stairs?
But that's
can we tell everybody who your husband is?
Sure.
So her husband is John Jollese, who is a pediatrician out of Hanover and very well known. And I remember when my kids were little, I couldn't get into their practice because they were full.
Sharon, you can get in now. You bring your kids in.
Well, remember I had my broken arm and he was taking care of me, right? When we were looking for houses.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So movement is key to manage your anxiety. And I know that you two are working so hard. You're probably like yawning, like, oh my God, who is she? That's what I'm talking about. Everyone's reality is different. If you have the luxury of having some time to actually decide what to do with your time, then movement will help manage anxiety. It will help to get the negative thoughts down. It will help to move the negative energy out of your body. And you're not going to be 20 pounds heavier once this whole thing's over. I'm hearing that from everyone, that they're eating so much. And so...
2 walks a day. I'm still getting, other than yesterday, I did not put my life on the line, but I get my 2 walks in a day with my dog. Sharon can attest.
I see her out there. Dogs. I've gained 10 pounds. So hello there.
Yeah. You got to start moving. You got to commit to moving, every single day. You just have to, because when you're as anxious as you describe yourself as being, Sharon, you're holding yourself tight. Right? And not breathing well and all that. And I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm just telling you, find the movement that you enjoy, that you have time to do. And I mean, you're out with your dog. You're out in nature. It's all going to lift your spirits. And
you've been walking with Dexter like every day, right?
Yeah, so I didn't go today, but pretty much every day we're going at least for an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Just to be
there we go. Yes.
Well, so I said to Sharon earlier, I know me, Melissa, and Sam went for a walk and we saw a rock on a trail that said smile, I think. And then recently we were walking and we saw another one that said heal. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's Anne or like somebody who's following the Grace Trail. Because like, how often do you see these little rocks with these sweet messages to you?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing like little signs.
Yeah. Well, that's the universe telling you what you need to hear and reminding you of, you can heal. Even in the worst of times, people do heal. People are resilient. People are moving through this. Certainly not everyone. I know the mortality rate is so high, but we collectively are going to move through this to some new normal. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we have to keep our eye out there on the horizon and really believe that it's going to happen. I don't know the timeline, that's for sure. No one does. But we are going to move through this to, I think it's going to be a new normal. But I think we will be moving through this.
Yeah. So Ian, can you tell our listeners too, how can they, I don't know if you have one of your boxes nearby.
I have all my boxes. Which box were you thinking about?
The one that has like your own little kit?
Okay, you mean the big one or the one I just sent you? Which?
No, the big one.
Okay.
So how people could get that and
oops.
Has it right there.
Yeah, she does. She's in her
like,
office.
I'm grabbing my box.
Yes.
We could have used that last night when we had our power outage. We could have pulled open the Grace Trail box.
It's a great idea. That's a great idea. You gotta know so many of those boxes are coming off the shelf in this whole situation because there's a lot of easy answers. This is what Sharon's talking about. It's called Create Your Own Grace Trail. And it's really for organizations and groups who want to create grace trails for their community. Churches are using it. Gosnell down the Cape, they have grace trails behind all of their houses. Dana Farber has used it. Beth Israel Deaconess. Are you guys talking and I'm not, what's going on?
We're having a hard time because we couldn't see. We're trying to get Melissa on there, so that's all.
Oh.
You keep on talking. So tell everybody again how you can get there.
So if you want to make your own Grace Trail, you can go to gracetrail.com and go to my shop, and you can see all the products I have. This kit is it has my best-selling book. It has the hope cards. It has a workbook for you to create your own Grace Trail. You can do it in your backyard if you want. You can do it at work. It has a workbook, the soup to nuts of how to create your own Grace Trail on gracetrail.com. And I also have a TEDx talk if you want to look at that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. You're so fancy.
Yeah. I am so fancy. So fancy. Yeah, it's called Cracking the Grace Code, and you can just go on YouTube and go to the TEDx talks and then either put my name in Jollese or Cracking the Grace Code, and it will come up, and it's an 18-minute, it's basically the story of Grace Trail, how it started 20 years ago in my kitchen and where it's gone to today. So, that's a resource, and I have downloads on my website at gracetrail.com where people can go and print out the questions, print out the map. And the map in Plymouth, the Grace Trail in Plymouth right now, they're asking people not to walk on because of the social distancing. But, if you can get outside in nature somewhere, make your own trail. You don't have to come to Plymouth. Just ask those 5 simple questions. And
do it in your backyard, actually. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. People can literally do it in their backyard. And
absolutely.
I think I told my daughter Mackenzie taught a class on empathy this week. She had a webinar last week, and one of the things, so I taught CCD for years, and she remembered one of the things that I taught in CCD, and every morning when they would wake up, and she said this during her webinar, so I was very proud mom. She's like, growing up, my mom every morning would say, so what are you grateful for so far today? You know what I mean? And just to keep that in your head of being grateful. And she used to say toothbrush every day, and I used to respond with, I'm grateful for your toothbrush too, sweetie. So
yeah, those kids don't like to cooperate with this stuff. Yeah, every single morning I get up and I don't even get out of bed. I put my feet on the ground and I say to myself, because we're all waking up worried now. We're worried. We worry while we're asleep. You wake up, I wake up anxious. And so I just sit on the side of the bed and I say, okay, Ann, 10 things you're grateful for. And I just list specifically what's going right before I even really start my day. And that's a great technique throughout your day to do. And to ask other people, what went right today? When did you laugh today? It's a constant redirecting of your brain to what's going okay, and also what's in your control. And that's what the Grace Trail does for people.
And one of the things I did on Easter Sunday, last year, I was in Clemson with Mackenzie, and we actually volunteered for a Purple Heart veterans program, helping somebody move, oddly. And I thought, well, what's going to beat that? And this year, Mark and I went for a walk early in the morning. And as we were walking, it was just so peaceful, and I just felt like me. And I just looked at him, and I just said, thank you for taking care of me. Because he really has been really solid through this whole thing. Because if I was married to me, I wouldn't be married anymore. Ask these two. They can't wait until this is over so they don't have to sit with me. And there's Melissa.
That's not true. That's not true.
Hi, Melissa.
Melissa's down here so we can see her.
Hello from the basement.
Here you are. Hi.
Yeah. Next week we might be able to just do this from all over. So we only have a few minutes left, and we have to finish up some important topics. With
Still have 20 minutes, Sharon.
Here. So, Ian, what are some final thoughts for our final seconds here for all of our listeners on WATD?
Well, I think that we have to be hopeful. And hope, the word hope is that we can find a path towards our desired future. That's what hope is. We have to know that there is a way to get over there, which is where we want to be. And that's why I say about Grace Drill, I say, hang your hope out there on the horizon and walk towards it every day. We need to know that this is going to end. It is going to be a different world, but we are, most of us, hopefully, are going to get through this. And we need to hold on to that hope. And you guys are doing a great job. You are agents of hope. This is a hopeful show. People tune in because they want.
You're an agent of hope. I like agents of hope.
You are agents of hope. That's exactly, that is true.
Ken wants to be a special agent.
Secret. Well, do you know the difference between hope and optimism? Hope has a plan. That's the difference. Hope has a plan. You know, you think about that, and that's what you guys are. You're the plan. They call you because they need a plan. Sharon, they call you to buy a house because they need a plan. You are agents of hope, and so we've got to keep our lights shining by taking care of ourselves and our families first, and then taking care of other people, because that's the only way it's going to work, is to stay strong, stay as positive as you can. Yes, what were you going to say?
And the bigger message to that is taking care of the ones you love is really taking care of everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because so if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, I love what Ken said last weekend. I don't know if you caught it, but at the very end of the show, we had one final question, and he's like, "Don't screw it up." Like, we've all worked so hard, just don't screw it up. So I feel I felt optimistic this week, that I felt that people were listening, that I felt like finally people were understanding.
Yeah,
right?
no. We definitely saw a change in behavior. We definitely saw a change in behavior from last week to this week, or at least I saw it right up until this morning, which I can understand. That was a stressor.
Anomaly, and we'll be done with it.
There was a stressor. People are going to respond differently after a stressor.
I get why it happened, and it is what it is. Like I said, if I wasn't on this side of it, I'd be with them all, doing all the wrong stuff. But people did finally follow what they were supposed to do.
It's worked out perfect.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, you said screw it up.
I did, but wait till I find out I'm agent of hope over the fire.
Agent of hope.
That's why I mean, like a new hobby.
This is going to be great. I can't wait for the fire department to get that. I'm going to get your name plaque for next week.
So should I be texting right now?
Okay. All right. So, Anne, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you guys enjoy.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Inviting her, and maybe we can have you again next week, giving us little tidbits every week.
Anything you want, I am here to help, to serve, to support, to laugh with you. And thanks for including me.
Yes, thank you
Love
so
you
much,
all.
Anne. Have a great night. Tell John I said hello. Okay?
I will.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Get him on next time, right?
You know what, Sharon? I'm going to trick him. I'm going to just say, "Hey, John, come here for a minute." I'll get him on maybe next week.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye, Anne.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, Anne.
Bye.
To all of our listeners, that was Anne Jollese, and she is a life coach. She is an author. She's a TEDx talker, speaker. She really just, and again, it was just because when you guys had mentioned that, like, we have to have some positive at the end of this.
Yep.
I thought that was great. Do you want to tell everybody who our guest is going to be next week?
Yeah, but I just want to, how much time do we have left? Because there's a couple of
15,
things.
yes.
Okay, good. So we have plenty of time. So I was really excited. So we have different people coming every week, and Assistant Town Manager Sabrina Trilcott said she'd come in next week. Ken and I have been begging and begging her. She's sweet, she's awesome, she's smart. So we're gonna make sure that she's here, next week to join us.
You know what we could do next week if we do Zoom? Everyone can bring their laptop, and we can all be.
We can Zoom all over the office. That'll be epic. That'll be absolutely awesome. So, but one thing, just to touch back to Anne, because I'm going to pay Ken a backhanded compliment here.
Oh.
it's hard to do this alone, and I think all of us draw strength. I mean, we're a team, and so it's nice to feel like you have a well of strength to draw from. So when one of us isn't feeling so great, we can kind of like lean on the rest. But not only that, and what made yesterday's windstorm so tough is this is an overwhelming thing to deal with, but when you have a plan, and this is a plan we've been working on for years, this is 10 years, 15 years in the making of an emergency management plan. This didn't just grow overnight. When you have a plan, something is so much easier to deal with. Do you agree? Because when you have a strategy, for me, like the windstorm last night was actually tougher to deal with because I can't stop the wind. I can't go out there and bodily, block it and everything else.
Welcome to my world.
So yes, but you see, you can't dive into the melee and think you're going to fix everything. So the point is have a team, have a plan, and it actually isn't so bad.
So
and
we have the plan for the pandemic.
Yep.
And both the police and the fire department last night put a plan together for the windstorm. So we've got a plan on top of a plan.
Yeah.
All plans work or goes according to plan.
But sometimes, sometimes you put a plan together and you don't need it, but that's
for
okay.
the most part, the plan worked very well.
For the most part.
So to all people that are still waiting for power, it is coming. They are working.
11 o'clock for us tonight, Sharon.
They are working as hard as they possibly can.
Oh yeah, these guys are busted.
Again,
we got killed. We had a lot of white pine. White pine is not our friend.
So it's not that they're not doing anything. They're just, you have to also realize too that they're on a skeleton crew like we are, because they were kind of in shutdown with employees due to this thing. So they had to draw strength in crews and people from other places. So you will get power. It's coming.
Okay. Can I ask you another question too? Is over at I was talking to John over at Hill Commons at the housing. So what are like some of the thoughts about housing? I was trying to get him onto the radio show. Maybe we can get him on next week too.
Yes, hopefully.
So he said that the fire department has been doing some stuff over there.
So we do every Monday. We fog all of his buildings or all of the common areas in his buildings with sanitizer.
Yep.
And we do all the common community places along with the police station every single Monday.
Okay. So if I have my dad open his door, it will go in there?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I suppose,
Dad, open up the door. They're going to fog you up.
When they're there, we're going. So, it has a smell. We wear a suit and a mask when we do it.
Yeah.
It's not hazardous.
Yeah.
It's just these guys are doing 5 buildings plus the police station, so they want to just prepare themselves.
Yeah.
And it's working. So we're going to sanitize that. We have another one coming to the police department so that they can do their cruises and their own things at their own time.
Okay.
And we're going to go over to the town hall. So
before we open the town hall up, right now there's only 5 or 6 people in the building, so it's very, very, very minimal.
We do our building every day. We do all of our apparatus every day. Ambulance after every run. So I mean, these are norms.
Something that you had?
No, we didn't. We did not. So these are some of the things that now that they're currently in place for COVID, they will continue to be in place well after COVID is gone.
Yeah. So what about the cost of these machines and these things that you're purchasing?
Actually, not that bad. Not as bad as you would think. So,
and it's a necessity.
And it's an emergency.
Because the flu is COVID.
Yeah.
Just
Everyone
COVID
forgets.
on steroids. So we still have to protect ourselves.
Everyone's focused on COVID.
Right.
I don't want to say this right now because what I don't want to do is scare people at home.
Yeah.
COVID is scary. Ken and I deal with scary daily. This is what we drill. When we do these drills, COVID's just another name. Plug in Ebola, plug in anthrax, plug in your choice of new thing that's coming to get you.
I've been around for, and I was just thinking this today, talking to someone. I was here when Ebola. I was here for anthrax. I was here for H1N1. I've been here for this. So I've gone through those. This is by far the worst.
The worst one.
We prepared for Ebola huge, and it just never materialized.
Right.
This one here,
this one did.
Watched it shut an economy down.
Yeah.
It's not. So I mean, it's scary. But so there are new norms that we have to change, and that will be one of the things that we do. Some of the things we do in the back of the ambulance now with patients will become the norm. Will be different, which it wasn't before. So we'll have to just overcome and adapt. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, because
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can hear myself up there too.
So Ken, you said that this is going to, probably or will be a continuation after COVID is gone. Are there any things that we're doing right now as a community or in the town or even you think the state that we will continue to do after?
I think everybody will adopt their own things they're doing. I think you'll see supermarkets that have adopted certain types of things. You may see a single island that may never go away. It will be one aisle up, one the same way.
Oh goodness!
But levels of sanitation. I mean, do you think? I'll flip the question on you. Is your level of sanitation after this is quote unquote over going to return to the level of sanitation you had 2 months ago?
With like cleaning my own house,
your personal sanitation of you and your home.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any going back. I mean, I'm enjoying how clean things are. Not that we live in a dirty house or we have.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying everyone's game got raised. It's kind of like going to the everyone's game went up a couple steps. And most everyone's not going to go back. No, everyone's game is going to go back.
A to-go bag of Clorox.
Yeah. What's that?
What? I said, you have your little to-go bag of Clorox and antibacterial.
So something that you're going to see that will change, I think, huge, and it has nothing to do with germs or clean is this working from home.
Yeah.
And people satelliting things. They're
I think there'll be a lot more of
that. You can do that now.
And that might stop the spread of things anyway.
And that's something that you would have never saw. There are things that we would have never done. Everybody's got to come to work and do certain things, and I think you're going to see that probably change a little bit.
Is Chris working from home?
Yeah,
well, and here's
what did you say, Mary?
I said that there's a negative to people working from home in isolation, though.
Yeah.
So I'm just not to end it on a bad note, but there's also like things to be thought of from that sense.
But I'm saying from a financial standpoint and a company standpoint, you may see that as become part of the norm. Well, I was able to work from home for 4.5 months. Why can't I work from home now?
Well, what about the kids at school?
Yeah, a lot of colleges may do a lot more online than have an
Oh yeah, no more snow days.
Change. For the good or for the bad, I don't know, but there are a lot that we just have to do different. We're going to have to overcome and adapt to do things differently.
One thing I'm surprised about all of this, and we may have hit upon it last week, was, and someone has to make sure we're taking care of
7 minutes to go.
Okay. I can't believe, so how fast it's spreading, and I know it's spreading faster than other things, but to think like that's how things spread. Like, you know what I mean? Like when we weren't so aware of it, like I was clean anyway.
But we are. See, to me, that's the funny part. We are. But to the average person, you're thinking about it more. That touching a solid surface. Like, so you guys, you asked me again, what's it going to look like afterwards? And we already talked about your personal, cleanliness. Not saying anyone's unclean, but everyone's like raised their game. Are you ever going to shop a grocery store the same way again?
Never.
No, seriously.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just thinking of what happened at Shaw's on Saturday, Mary.
Oh, tell me what happened.
The two things. So, I'm not very good at cooking, and Mary and I had to cook Easter for Sam and Holly, and we took that on.
You did a phenomenal job.
Holly needed scallions, right? Well, I don't remember what scallions look like. So I grabbed something and I picked it up. I said, oh, I think this is it. And Mary's like, no, I think that's a white onion. And I was like, aren't they the same? And then I went to go put it back. But then I was like, oh, wait, no, I touched it. I have to buy it now. And Mary's like, I don't know. I don't think that's how it works. I go, no, I think so. But the whole time we were having this conversation, there was a guy behind me, like just watching and like laughing at me because I'm like, I touched it. I gotta buy it.
Oh, what was it? Now I need to know what you bought.
It was a scallion. It was scallion. I was right. So I got it anyways. But then, like 10 minutes later,
green onion. Thank you very much. I thought it was a green onion.
Okay, well, then about 10 minutes later, we were walking down an aisle the right way, and there was a man behind Mary at a good distance, but he didn't have any face mask on, nothing, and he sneezed on his carriage. Didn't cover his mouth, nothing. He just sneezed on his carriage.
Yeah, no, I mean, people are, whatever.
How do you know not to sneeze on a carriage in before COVID?
Right, but we just talked about everyone's level of vigilance is different, okay? we don't have to like it, but it's a factual certainty. Everyone's acceptable level of cleanliness. Sharon, you wait a minute. All three of you ladies are all in real estate. You've been in hundreds of homes. Are they all the same level of clean and whatever? Of course they're not.
Hope people are watching. Nope.
Yeah.
This is not real. So the person coughing all over the place, hacking, going around, he's a person who just doesn't
doesn't believe
or just doesn't
or
believe
doesn't
that
think about it.
It's never going to affect
Doesn't
him.
care
Nobody
about
ever
it.
knows. It's fake. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And those people are, 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
1 out of 10.
Well, and I think it's funny. I was
you know what I mean?
talking to a friend, and she's like, "Not that I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but," and I was like, "You should say normally."
Yeah.
Because now you think, you know what I mean? And you can imagine of my friends, who do you think it was?
3 minutes.
Right? Huh?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3
Okay.
minutes.
So we only have 3 minutes. I know that this is going to be a tough week for you guys coming up.
Yes.
I don't know how WATD listeners feel about me saying this out loud, but I certainly am going to keep you guys in my prayers.
Thank you.
Because
we'll take anything we can get. We'll take anything we can
and
get.
since you won't let me out there with you,
You cannot come out there with us.
Working hard.
Yeah.
We love you. Support from a distance.
Yes. So, any final thoughts or final things or suggestions?
Oh, come on,
for
Ken, you
everybody?
got to say it.
I'm going to
gotta
go
say
back to what I've been saying for 6 weeks. I'm getting tired of saying it, but today, let it go. We're done. Everybody did what they had to do. We need to go back to just staying home. Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
We put way too much into this. Way too much effort, way too much sacrifice, way too much everything. The economy's in the toilet. Just stay at home.
Yep.
We'll get through this. We'll get it done. We'll come out the other side.
Yeah.
And we can kind of recover and move on.
And you do see sort of something happening, right? At the other
We
side.
do. Calls are going up. Runs are going up. People are getting
It's coming.
sicker. It's coming.
But there will be another side. And that's the other thing. We all see the mountain's coming, the mountain's coming. And it is, but it's going to end. There is going to be an end to this. And again, it's not a sprint. It's not a half marathon. It's not even a marathon. Remember, I'm going with ultra marathon now.
Yeah.
But don't mess it up. Don't make all the hard work and sacrifice be for nothing. Don't mess it up now. Stay the course. And I had an interesting conversation with one person today, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not really worried about it." I said, "Are you worried about your parent? Are you worried about your grandparent? Are you worried about that child with an autoimmune disease? Are you worried about that person that suffers from asthma or emphysema or any of these other things?" I said, if you care not about yourself, then find it in you to care about that person, because you have the potential to break the chain. Maybe you're not going to get it, but maybe you were in contact with someone that did have it, and you might come into contact with that other person. But if you are hyper vigilant, if you're washing your hands, if you don't mess it up, if you stay home, you might be that person that breaks the chain. Everyone's seen those matches on Facebook where the burnt match, the burnt match, the burnt match, and then they showed the match that was missing, so all the rest of the matches didn't get burnt. Diseases work the exact same way. You take one person out of the chain of the disease passing along. That's the power of one person removing themselves from one position and breaking that change.
Yeah.
Final
So just
seconds here.
How many seconds?
Final seconds here. We won't be able to hear Ben, so I just want to be able to wrap up.
Step away.
So next week we'll talk a little bit about real estate. I know some things are
Okay.
happening. If you are still interested in real estate, we can do certain things. So we can have like some personal showings. We can also do
Personal showings are
Personal
great.
You can FaceTime them. That's going to become something after this.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to do virtual
Virtual
tours
walkthroughs.
while we're in the house.
Closings.
So you can get to us at bostonconnect.com. We have lots of great new listings coming on, and we'll talk more about that next week. Mel, do you want to take it from here? Because I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah,
We're
you
good.
can call us. We can still pick up the phone 781-826-8000, and I'll direct you anywhere. So.